Hello people of YouTube, Mishka Valhalla here.
Today we have ourselves a nice crisp fire, a nice evening, a dark evening, with some mead, just like my last video.
Except in this video, we are going to talk about different parts of the self when it comes to Norse spirituality. First of all, skål! Delicious mead. I highly recommend it. Dansk Mjord, that's the brand. Danish Viking mead. It's delicious. My personal favorite when it comes to mead. But anyway, so what I wanted to talk about in this video is to sort of dabble on the different parts of the self when it comes to Norse spirituality. And I guess in a way you can sort of translate it as like a Norse version of the chakras. There are other versions that are claimed to be Norse chakras, but essentially those aren't really historical. But at the same time, when we're talking about the Norse parts of the self, we are talking about terms and ideas that are drawn from the sagas and the mythology that sort of linguistically describe ideas and phenomenon from the heathen past. So it's sort of like translating things, because when it comes to language, when you translate things, they lose their original meaning. So when it comes to understanding the different parts of the self, when it comes to Norse spirituality, it's all about understanding that the linguistic meaning of the word, of the part of the self that is mentioned in the story or the saga, directly draws to a greater meaning that shows a cultural significance when it comes to the definition of any given word. The two parts of the self we will begin with when it comes to this video in particular is the Hugr and Minni, and that draws directly to Hugin and Munin, which are Odin's two ravens. And Hugin means thought or mind, and Munin means memory. So when it comes to Odin's two ravens, they symbolize his thought and his memory. And in a way it can be a greater understanding, because Hugr is essentially the Norse word for mind or thoughts. So it's essentially your limitless mind and personality that connects you to the world around you. When we are talking about spirituality, of course the mind can connect you to other realms as well. It is the limitless personality that is you. And if you are a believer in past lives, living multiple lifetimes, your mind is what has carried on throughout the ages. While your Minni, which means your memory, is more of something that can shift here and there. Your memory can be lost or it can be found.
No one likes forgetting things, nobody likes losing their memory, but in a way, when one passes away and dies, they enter a state of consciousness where they are aware of the other realms. The less physical, the more, I guess you could call metaphysical, the more magical realms. Your memory is something that can be inherited through ancestry, and that is something that's heavy in, of course, heathenry when it comes to ancestor worship and the burial mounds. When it comes to venerating your ancestors and essentially burying them with the goods that they have used throughout their life and that they wish to use in the afterlife. Those that believe or wish to live another lifetime in Midgard will forget many of the details of their past lives. So essentially their next life will be all about regaining that memory. And it depends on how society is on whether or not that memory will come fast or not. Especially when it comes to retrieving ancient knowledge, when it comes to the pagan past, the more animalistic past, when it comes to looking to older, more earth-based ideas opposed to more sky-based ideas that, of course, were not technically indigenous to ancient humans. Anyway, I'm trailing off here. So your Hugr is your mind, your limitless personality, the identity that is you. And then you have your Minni, your memory. And your memory is something that is connected to you, your ancestors, and of course the world around you. And the Well of Erd. And the Well of Erd essentially is where fate is. That's where the Norns weave destiny, the web of Virt, or the web of Erd. That's more of a Norse term, Erd. And Virt is like an old English term, to be more precise. Excuse me, this fire is like totally dying, and it is raining, so I'll probably be leaving soon. Therefore, cutting this video short, but we will see. Yep, looks like this fire is going to die pretty soon. Your memory, your Minni, is something that, you know, stays around, you know, something that has been with you for a while, especially when it comes to the current lifetime you've been. It can be something very physical, like I said, something that's inherited by your ancestors. And animals work the same way. And there has been a lot of scientific studies in recent years about memory being inherited through ancestors. And that is something that exists in simple biology. When it comes to especially animals like fish, you know, they have a biological memory that is inherited throughout the generations that allows them to essentially do the things that their ancestors did, and to survive and to live their lives to the fullest. Your Hugr and your Minni, your mind and your memory, will be two of the most important things when it comes to your identity and when it comes to understanding yourself and who you truly are. So, and what I mean by that is when it comes to your memory and when it comes to especially your ancestral memory and your mind itself, your identity, your personality, that ties heavily into who you are as a person and what your goal is in this life and what you are meant to accomplish. Anyway, I'm going to cut this video now, and please stay tuned for future videos. The Hugr and the Minni, they are the mind and memory. They are two things that are important, but they are only two of quite a few things that represent the self when it comes to Norse spirituality. It's quite similar. I think I mentioned it in the past video that the Egyptians were quite similar in the belief that the soul has many layers, and I'm sure many other cultures were similar that I can't mention of at the moment, but other than that, I'm sure I'll mention them in the future. Anyway, thank you all for watching. Please stay safe, hail the gods, and thank you so much. Look out for each other, and again, stay safe.